Hi, welcome to Biohacking with Brittany, a podcast focused on holistic health, nutrition, biohacking, and more. I'm your host, Brittany Ford, registered holistic nutritionist and self-proclaimed biohacker. During the last 10 years, I've focused on healing my gut and hormonal issues through lifestyle changes, nutrition, and of course, biohacks. And now I teach others to do the same. I'm so excited you're joining me today, so let's dive right in. Well, welcome to another episode of Biohacking with Brittany. I am super excited that you are joining me today. We are getting into everything about the immune system and entrepreneurship, which I love talking about as an entrepreneur myself. And we have Gian Carlo Torres joining us. He has a very interesting story, which he's definitely going to share with us, about creating a health business around the immune system and coming out with this supplement. So he has done over $1 million in sales annually. So he definitely knows what he's talking about when he comes to this product, but also to entrepreneurship. So Gian Carlo, welcome to the show.
Brittany, it's my pleasure. I'm super happy to be here with you and your audience.
Awesome. So let's start with you and your background. How did you first get into this field? Like, take us back to the beginning.
It's interesting because my passion for nutrition really started with my mom. Okay. My mother's an almost 20-year-old breast cancer survivor. And the story is fascinating by itself because when they diagnosed her stage 3 breast cancer, this was all in the same time that September 11 happened. And so you can imagine,
Wow.
the
Yeah.
chaos worldwide. She has cancer. My dad loses his job. My grandfather from my dad's side also gets cancer. And then guess what? She's also pregnant of my little brother Diego. All kind of like in the same month or so. It was crazy. And what's interesting about this, Brittany, and for everybody that is listening, is that we thought we already knew about nutrition because my grandmother had a health food store in Orlando, Florida.
Mm.
So we thought that we knew about nutrition, but then cancer comes. So then that's when you kind of have to shift and change things. But you're like, okay, what I was doing definitely didn't work, right? Because now I have almost stage 4 breast cancer. And that's when kind of I would say because of the circumstance, my parents and my family, they really went into nutrition. And they used, high quality nutrition for the cancer. They also use conventional medicine. So they
Mhm.
combine both, in which I call complementary, medicine, because you're combining both, natural and conventional. And that's what they did. And after a year or so, cancer goes into remission. My little brother's born. And, things are now more calm. Now, after you have a family member or a friend with cancer, um, the goal is, okay, what can I do to prevent cancer because I don't want it to come again.
Mhm.
So that kind of become like an obsession for us, Brittany, because
Mm.
we're like, okay, we don't want this to happen not only to her again, but since she had cancer, that probably means that it's in the genes.
Mm.
So now we don't want, the kids to get cancer because that means that's probably in the genes. So we always knew that for the immune system. And I know, for everybody that is listening, if you go to a doctor and you say, hey, what can I do to get a strong immune system? A medical professional will usually say, hey, look, eat 8 to 10 fruits and veggies every single day. Sleep at least, 8 hours per night. Of course, like everybody's different, but that's a good, general rule. Exercise at least 30 minutes to an hour every day and have low stress. Now, let's be honest, Brittany, how many people do that every single day?
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to say that I eat 8 to 10 fruits and veggies every single day, but guess what? I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. You know why? Because life is crazy. Life
Yep.
is busy. Sometimes like when you have a bad night and you just don't sleep well, So most people can't even do all of these things for a strong immune system. So even though these are crucial fundamentals for a strong immune system, most people don't do it. So
Mhm.
my family always knew this. So they were like, you know what? Let's always look for that extra thing, an edge for the immune system. And I would say, Brittany, that for a good 12 to 13 years, we were always trying new stuff, new diets, new supplements, always trying
Mm.
to find something that would be beneficial for the family and for a lot of people. And it's interesting how we found this because my mother, she gets ill again. She gets
Mm,
ill in 2015. Okay. We've always been super active in business and in volunteer work. So we saw mom declining little by little. And from feeling super good, from having a lot of energy, from literally not having energy, Brittany, for a whole year.
wow.
Basically, like she'll wake up, do the basics, and then go back to bed or to the sofa. Like that was mom for a whole year. And that was horrible, as you can imagine.
Hmm.
And we did the same thing. We went to doctors, natural doctors, conventional doctors, and like just trying to figure out what she had. But interestingly, Brittany, nobody could really find out what she had.
Right.
And if you ask my parents to this day, there was moments in this journey, Brittany, that was almost worse than when she had cancer. And why do I say
Mm,
this? Because there was no clarity. We didn't know what
yeah.
she had. With cancer, we know what she had, right? But this
Right.
situation, we didn't know what she had. So that causes stress by itself.
Right.
So, we're like in this journey, I'm a trial and error, supplements, diets, conventional stuff and all that, and nothing's working. Until we found out that she had lupus. Be
Mm,
diagnosed with lupus, which, we were happier because we're like, okay, we at least have clarity in what's happening
right.
with her. But now she's still feeling really bad. So what do you do? And in all of this, someone says, hey, there's a product actually from Canada, from Montreal, Canada. It has over 40 years of research, and I think it's gonna work out for you. And we're kind of like, whoa, we've tried a lot of things. We know everything, right? We're not gonna try anything new because we know everything. But then we realize, you know what? This mindset is probably is not going to help us get to the level that we want to get to, which is to get her healthy.
Hmm.
So we changed our mindset. We were in a horrible financial situation, but we got the product somehow. And what I remember, Brittany, it feels like yesterday. This was when we were in Florida at that time. I remember she gets the product. A week passes by. I wake up a Sunday morning. It feels like yesterday. And I see her cleaning and reorganizing the kitchen. And I said, mom is different today. And a couple minutes later, she was like, I want to go walk at the beach.
Wow.
And we were all like, whoa, what just happened here? Like from being in bed for a whole year, a week later, something is different with this stuff.
Hmm.
And so we all became raving fan customers. My dad, my little brother, my sister, brother in law, my grandparents, great grandparents, literally, aunts, uncles. I mean, everyone in our circle of influence got into this product, for preventive reasons because of mom's story.
Right.
And then from there, they tell me, hey, there's one of the immune experts in the whole world. His name is Jim Spencer. He's going to give a seminar on the science of this product. Do you want to go? And I said, absolutely. And I went with the fam. And in that day, I finally understood what it did. And I finally understood how to help a lot of people with it. So in that day, I remember mom and I, we look at each other, we say, we're going to partner up and help a lot of people with this product. And since making that decision, Brittany, we've helped, I don't know, probably over 5,000 people with the product with incredible stories. And it's been, an amazing journey.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, first of all, like I just want to say I'm really sorry that you and your family had to go through that health
Thank you.
experience for your mom. But it's also a beautiful thing what you've turned it into and like been able to like heal and kind of move forward and create an amazing business out of it. Like that's just incredible. So, can you explain to us exactly what the nutrient is, what it does, like really just like break it down for the listeners?
Of course. So let me, for you and for your audience, let me give you the story on how this was even found, okay?
Mhm.
Over 42 years ago, an Italian scientist from Montreal, Canada, his name was Dr. Gustavo Bunos. Okay, whoever goes to the McGill University in Montreal, um, they say that in Montreal and in the McGill University, when you mention Dr. Bunos, it's like whoa, like yeah, like he's he was a world-renowned scientist from Canada. So this Italian scientist, 42 years ago, he had a mission. His mission was to find a protein that would prevent cachexia. Now, for the ones that don't know cachexia is whenever a cancer patient is in the end of their days, they start to lose a lot of weight because the body starts to eat itself, unfortunately. Okay? He had experienced this with his mother. His mother had died of cancer, and his mother went through this cachexia. And he obviously didn't like it. He was also, very sad about the death of his mother. So he kind of got obsessed with the idea of finding a protein that would prevent this. That was it. There was no immune system involved here. It was just that. But since he was such a respected scientist in the whole world, they would actually pay him to investigate. So he talks to a lot of universities in the whole world. He talks about his project. And a lot of universities and a lot of companies start to send him different proteins. So, like in any lab, they test proteins with mice. And, he's just testing a lot of proteins on mice. And one day, Brittany,
Mhm.
a company from Switzerland sends him a particular protein, says, look, we don't know, we don't know how this might have any beneficial use. We're a cheese company. But just check it out and see if there's any value. He said, okay. He starts to give this protein to the mice. And he sees that the immune response of the mice just went skyrocket. He said, interesting. So he starts to give it to mice with illnesses. And the mice with illnesses start to get better. The immune response is also dramatic. This is interesting. He's fascinated, at this point.
Mhm.
So he starts to test it in humans. Humans are getting better. Again, one thing he saw in everything was the immune response was incredible. He says, what does this protein have? So he's trying to investigate, what does this protein have? And what is it doing that is making this immune response just go skyrocket? And one day, while he's sitting down and he's thinking, one of his colleagues, Dr. Wolf Droga, says, hey, Dr. Bunos, could this protein be raising something called glutathione?
Mm.
And he said, glutathione, maybe. Now, what happens, Brittany, is that now we have a lot of info on glutathione. Now, but
Mhm.
in the 80s, there was basically no info about glutathione.
Right.
Everybody knew there was a molecule, but no one knew what it did on the body. So he said, glutathione, maybe, just maybe. And so he started to connect the dots. He says, wait a second, there's something, this protein that is raising glutathione on mice and on people. But what does this protein have? And with time, he found out that when you get cow raw's milk, okay, and you take out the lactose, okay, you take out the casein, you take out the fat, the only thing you extract is a protein, and you have to do it in a particular way, okay, so that the proteins aren't damaged. Once you do it in a particular way, these proteins have two amino acids, one called cysteine, one called cysteine. When you combine those two amino acids together, you have something called bonded cysteine. Now, why is this dramatic? Well, because when your cells receive this bonded cysteine, every single cell in the body makes glutathione naturally. This is where he was amazed, and then he started to compare this protein, and he found out that this protein was identical to mother's milk because mother's milk also has bonded cysteine. It's one of the few sources in the whole world that has bonded cysteine. And then things start to make more sense to me. He said, wait a second, wait a second. Babies that don't consume mother's milk are usually a lot on, they're usually not healthy.
Mhm.
Babies that do consume mother's milk are usually very healthy. He said, it's the bonded cysteine because it's helping the body make glutathione naturally. So another discovery. He started to investigate about bonded cysteine. And then so he started to discover, and after years and years, he wanted to make this product a drug actually. And some things happened that the pharmaceutical companies just didn't accept this product. He said, okay. So he's trying to figure out a lot of people have to try this product. A lot of people need this product because of the immune system. And so he talks with some entrepreneurs in Canada, and they're like, you know what? Yeah, we can find a way where everybody can have an opportunity. So they made a business, and then now people like me can help and educate a lot of people with this product. Now, to your question, Brittany, on what does this product do? Well, as I said, this product has bonded cysteine. It's an amino acid. Okay, it's two amino acids, cysteine and cysteine. Your cells receive it. Your cells make glutathione. What's glutathione? Glutathione is a molecule that we all have. We're all born with it. Okay, it's crucial for life. Now, even though there's over 150,000 articles on glutathione. We're obviously not gonna, bore the listeners here, Brittany, but the best explanation is that glutathione, of all of the 4,000 antioxidants that people know, glutathione is the master antioxidant. What does this mean? That antioxidants like vitamin C, vitamin E, and vitamin D, just to give you three antioxidants, they can only work with the presence of glutathione. So if you're feeding yourself with just regular antioxidants, which is great, but if your body doesn't have high levels of glutathione, your body won't be recharging it. For example, vitamin C. Whenever you feed yourself with vitamin C, it's super beneficial for the immune system. Okay? Now, if a vitamin C touches a free radical, it dies with the free radical. So your body has to keep making these antioxidants for good immune health. If you have high levels of glutathione in your body, or in this case, healthy levels of glutathione in your body, glutathione will keep making vitamin C so that your immune response is amazing. So once you raise glutathione, you're raising the master antioxidant. And since it's the master antioxidant, everything in the body starts to work better. So that's the best explanation that I can give on what glutathione does.
Yeah, that's so interesting that it's related to glutathione. Obviously, it's become more popular recently, and especially with like the pandemic and everyone's kind of focusing on the immune system and antioxidants. It's kind of like, how do we boost this? So I think, yeah, I think that's really cool. And so, do you take this as well, or is it only for people who are immune compromised?
Great question, Brittany. So this product is for two types of people: for people that want to stay healthy and for people that aren't healthy. So basically, everybody, right? Um,
Yeah.
but yes, from day one, even before I started to do this as a business, I was a raving fan customer. I would consume with the product every single day till this day. I think of these 5 years that we've been doing this, if I missed one day, Brittany, without exaggeration, it's a lot. I consume it every
Wow.
single day for prevention reasons. And why? Well, for the reason that a lot of studies show, and for the audience, that is listening, they could definitely do their own research. People that live over 100 years old, the only way you can surpass that age, and it's been proven time and time again, is if you have high levels of glutathione. So high levels of glutathione is linked to longevity. So my thing is, hey, you know what? If I'm going to be 80 and alive, I want to feel really good at that age.
Mhm.
I want to still travel. I still want to be with the kids, right? With the grandchildren. I still want to do all the things that I want to do, and I can only do that if I take care of myself now. And with the pandemic, for example, and of course, we're not going to make claims or anything like this, because it's definitely not the cure at all. But I think people, as you said, Brittany, they're more interested than ever for a strong immune system. Like they've seen, wow, you know what? Once the pandemic is over, because it will be over for sure, I
Mhm.
really have to take care of my immune system. Because if I don't take care of my immune system, this can literally cost my life. So we've, my family and I, because of our cancer background, we've always cared a lot of prevention. And so we decided as a family to always consume this product every single day, of course, together, with good habits, so that we can keep a strong immune system and do our utmost max to prevent unnecessary illnesses.
Yeah. I mean, it makes a lot of sense, and I go in waves of taking different things that boost the immune system as well. But I mean, if you can, you might as well just take it every day because it's not going to hurt. It's like it's so interesting. And I haven't actually looked into this, but is there a test for looking at your glutathione levels? Like, can you actually test what you are like where you're standing today?
I know of some places in the US that they do a glutathione test. Personally, Brittany, if I'm honest, I've never done a glutathione test. So
Hmm.
I can't tell you, hey, it's like this and that, because I'd be lying. But I do know people that have done it. For example, I'm a Dr. Mark Hyman.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
great doctor, you know him, of course, in the books and
Hmm.
everything else.
Hmm.
I think he has a system in his hospital in Ohio, I think,
Oh,
and he
interesting.
always tests people's glutathione levels. And he actually said in a video that most of his patients, of course, if they go to him, most of the time it's because they're sick, right? And he says that 90% of everybody that goes that's ill and he does a test on glutathione, to not say 100%, it's always low.
Yeah. Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, that makes sense, and I can see that. Yeah, so just like transitioning a bit here, like I know you kind of brought this up earlier, but you talked about complementary medicine,
Yes.
and I mean, there's a lot of different ways that people kind of word this, right? So there's like complementary medicine, alternative medicine, integrative medicine. So where do you stand on that, and like why do you support like complementary versus alternative or integrative or yeah?
You know, I've seen people that only believe in conventional medicine,
Mhm.
and I actually not seen. I know people that only believe in conventional medicine, and I know people that only believe in natural medicine. Okay, I obviously respect both parties, obviously, because everybody has their own beliefs.
Right.
Um, but time and time again, Brittany, I've always seen, and I keep seeing that people that combine both always get better results.
Yeah.
Always. And I was just talking to a doctor about this yesterday, and where I got this word complementary is from Dr. Jimmy Gutman. For the ones that don't know Dr. Jimmy Gutman, he's the world-renowned expert on glutathione, and he's the one who's actually taught me about glutathione and how to help people with this product, um, so that they can raise their glutathione levels. Like I owe him so much, and he actually has a book called The Encyclopedia of Glutathione, and I got this word from him because he says in the last chapter of his book that he doesn't believe in alternative, he doesn't believe in conventional, he believes in complementary medicine. And he says it for the same reason. He
Mm,
says, look, when patients and people, when they do both and they're not fanatic just of one, they always get better results. For example, this product that I help people with, which by the way, the name I didn't say, the name of the product is called Immunocal. Immunocal and Immunocal Platinum. Okay.
mhm.
I always tell people, look, don't consume this thinking, oh, this will replace my doctor. This will replace my drugs. No, this is a complement. So this will add to your lifestyle. This would add to your life. And by saying this also, I protect myself because I'm not a doctor, right? And so, like, I want the doctors as my friends, not as my enemies. And I think, Brittany, a lot of people that only believe in natural, again, even though I respect 100%, don't get me wrong, sometimes the doctors don't like it because they think, hey, you're just promoting what you believe, but then you're forgetting about us. You're following me?
Mhm.
So by using this term, complementary medicine, I'm helping the person, I'm adding to their life by raising glutathione. Everything else that they'll do will work 100 times better, no doubt.
Right.
And then I'm not replacing the doctor. So now the doctor's like, you know what? Jonko is actually just helping the community. He's helping people of not just replacing. So that's why I'm so passionate about this term, a complementary medicine.
I recently received a question from one of my listeners. She wanted to know if it was possible to avoid digestion problems by eating only healthy organic food. And while it's a nice thought, unfortunately, it's just not possible. You see, your natural ability to digest food declines with age. This is because your body produces fewer enzymes, which are the proteins responsible for digesting food. Fewer enzymes means more difficulty digesting food every single time. Even organic foods won't produce enough enzymes to properly digest them. This is especially true if you cook your food because cooking kills these enzymes. This is why you may have digestion problems even after a healthy meal. Your body just can't produce enough enzymes to get the job done. This is where supplementing with a high quality enzyme supplement can be a huge help. I personally recommend Mass Enzymes by BioOptimizers. This is the product that I use myself and I always recommend to all of my clients. It's a best in class supplement loaded with full spectrum enzymes for digesting proteins, starches, sugars, fibers, and fats. Taking Mass Enzymes daily helps top off your enzyme levels and replace the enzymes your body is no longer producing, which means you'll be able to eat all sorts of delicious foods and digest them quickly and effortlessly. After you start taking mass enzymes, you may even notice that you no longer feel bloated after meals and that your belly feels flatter, which we all love. And if you have leaky gut, which I did 12 years ago, which really first got me started on my health journey, I wish I had this product at that time, but mass enzymes can help reduce this gut irritation and help you absorb more nutrients. So honestly, listen, like life is too short to suffer from digestion problems. Try mass enzymes risk-free and see what improvements you notice. For an exclusive offer, obviously for my listeners, just go to massenzymes.com/biohackingbrittany and use my code biohackingbrittany for 10% off. Oh, and also, for a limited time, BioOptimizers is also giving away free bottles of their best-selling products, P3OM and HCl, with select purchases only while supplies last. So hurry now and order yours to get your free gifts. So just go to massenzymes.com/biohackingbrittany, and that's spelled MASSZYMES, and use my discount code biohackingbrittany to get 10% off and get more than $50 worth of free supplements. Yeah, I really agree with that. Like, of course, there's a time and place for everything.
Yes.
And it depends what's going on. And it depends, honestly, it depends on what you have access to as well, what's available to you. Like, a lot of people, like, financially can't necessarily invest in like all of these, biohacking or like natural ways of doing things.
Yeah.
But it's also the other way too, right? Like some people have to pay for healthcare. In Canada, we're lucky where a lot of like drugs and things are paid for, but some places you don't have that. And so it's kind of like meshing things together and not judging what other people do and just kind of doing what's best for you, I think is like the way to go.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it also takes time too. Like you have to test as well. And like you guys did for years, like trying new diets, trying new supplements. Like it's not this easy thing where you can just have a quick answer. It just takes a lot of time, and it's a journey, right? Like they say health
Yes.
is a journey. So
Yeah,
yeah.
it's trial and error, right? Sometimes like come as trial and error.
Yeah.
Um, and we've discovered in the journey that the it doesn't have to be so much trial and error if it has compelling research. That's something else that I've seen. We tried a lot of stuff, Brittany,
Mhm.
because of emotion, because someone told us about it. Um, it didn't work for us, but then it turns out that the product itself or the diet itself didn't have enough research.
Right.
So I always tell that to the people, and of course, for your audience, if it has compelling research that proves that it works, then you don't have to go through so much trial and error like we did, for example.
Mhm.
I think
Mhm.
that's another thing. The research has so much to do. It's just so important what type of research, and if you find the right one, you will find some of the right products and diets.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So let's talk about business and entrepreneurship
Yep.
and being a health, entrepreneur. Um, why do you think the health and wellness world and industry is booming? Like it was booming already before COVID and the pandemic, but now it's like even more saturated and booming. So like why, yeah, what do you think's going on?
You know, because I think there's so much info that's being exposed. Um,
Yeah.
like before the internet was popular and before the internet was accessible, you would only have to believe what you would read or what your doctors would say,
Yeah.
right? But now, literally, you can Google whatever you want and just go to PubMed and look at all this medical info, even if you're not a doctor, and then really just make your own decision, right?
Mhm.
So, since there's so much info being exposed out there, then people are saying, you know what, I want to make my own decision. I want to make my own decision based on what works for me.
Yeah.
And then with this type of mentality, then they have more of an open mind on nutrition and on the health and wellness industry.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the main reason, when COVID started, I remember the company and I, we were thinking, we were like, what's going to happen with our company? Will we grow a lot more since we help people with the immune system, or will we not grow? And I remember, because of the personal development that I've done, for example, Tony Robbins and all these people, they always talk about, hey, when there's times of crisis, that's where opportunity is, right?
Yeah.
And so I
Yeah.
remember I thought to myself, I said, you know what? I don't know what's going to happen with COVID. I don't know how we're going to deal with the pandemic, but I do know one thing. We help people with the immune system. That is proven. We clinically help people with the immune system. And I know that people will need a stronger immune system. So I'm not I'm not going to focus on fear, but I'm going to focus on opportunity.
Hmm.
And since we've been able to help so many more people, Brittany,
Yeah.
because of the pandemic, and I don't talk about numbers or anything like that, but for me, it's like, okay, yes, we've grown a lot of business, but it's the only way we've grown is because we've helped so many people with the immune system. So yeah,
Right.
I just think there's so much info out there that now people can just tap and read. That's why they're more conscious than ever about their health.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. When I started my like natural health journey, I guess you could call it, it was before I think it was before Instagram had come out. And it was, yeah, like it was like maybe, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago now or so.
Yep.
Um, and I just remember like reading blogs and like getting books and being exposed to this like totally different way of thinking and starting to make different decisions than the people around me. And everyone around me was like, thought I was crazy.
Yeah.
Just like, what? Like, you're not drinking milk with your dinner anymore? Like,
Mhm.
you want almond milk? Like, what is nut milk? Like just this crazy idea. And then, like, of course, the internet is more accessible now and there's social media and these podcasts and like all of this data and content that we can consume. And now it's like, everyone is drinking different types of nut milks and everyone's doing different diets and like it's so different and it's awesome. Honestly, I'm really happy about it because I love it. So I feel like everyone is more exposed. And then, like you said, like with access to content and information now, like you can make a better decision. Like
Yes.
it doesn't mean that you have to choose to drink nut milk, but now you're exposed to a different way of thinking. And then you can say, hey, like, what is best for me? Okay, I'm going to do this thing, or no, I'm actually going to continue doing what I was doing before. So I think we're able to make like better critical decisions for our health now, which is amazing. And
Really
on
good.
that
It takes
note,
courage. It takes courage to do
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. And on that note, like, where do you see this going in the next 10 years? Like, if we had this conversation 10 years from now, like, what do you think we would be talking about?
Well, what I do know is that glutathione is going to be 100 times more popular than what it is now. Like I
Hmm.
think from the cartridges that I have with the glutathione experts, glutathione will be used as commonly as vitamin C,
Wow.
as cholesterol, for example,
Right.
as vitamin D. Glutathione will be as popular. Now, the only way to do this is to do what we're doing, right, Brittany? It's to share the value, share the good stuff to
Yeah.
everybody, and
Yeah.
to educate people. Every time I'm with someone, talking about this product, my goal is always education and understanding.
Right.
I want to educate the person to the point that they understand what I'm talking about, and so that they know how this might benefit themselves. So, I know and I'm positive that in the next 10 years, everybody's going to be thinking, okay, I consume enough vitamin C, I consume enough vitamin D, but I really need to, raise my glutathione levels. Where and how can I do this? And hopefully they'll come to me so that I can help them.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I'm interested. So, in terms of glutathione, like just briefly going back to it, like
Yep.
I have taken like N-Acetyl-Cysteine, which I just call NAC, to boost my levels. Where do you stand with that as a supplement for glutathione?
Yes. So, this is it's interesting because I would say, Brittany, most people that I talk to are like you. They raise the glutathione levels with NAC. Okay.
Hmm.
And I remember that when I started with this journey, I asked Dr. Jimmy Gutman, I said, hey, I said, uh, you know, a lot of people consume NAC, a lot of people consume or they inject glutathione IV, they
Right.
consume glutathione pills. I said, but we know where we stand. I said, can you explain this to me? And the way he explained it, which I'm going to do to you and to your audience, is what I explain to everybody. So let's start, for example, with glutathione pills. Our body is naturally not made to consume glutathione.
Mhm.
And why is this? Because glutathione is too big of a molecule. So we're not made to just consume glutathione. Now, there are some companies, okay, that are making some glutathione pills in a way that your body can digest it. So there are some studies that are proving that what the only issue with that strategy is that since we're not naturally made to consume glutathione, you can almost feed your body with too much of it. So there can actually be
Mm.
an overdose of it. So I never recommend anybody to buy glutathione pills, whether proven or not proven, because studies show time and time again that's just not effective and it can be dangerous. Second, we have glutathione IV. Glutathione IV can be more effective than pills, but what happens is that glutathione IV doesn't last a lot in your body. I think studies prove time and time again that it will last in your body 30 minutes to an hour. And glutathione IV, as you know, Brittany, is not cheap.
Mhm.
And we need high levels of glutathione every single day. So I don't recommend that either. Now, N-Acetyl-Cysteine is better than those two. Why? Because we talked about cysteine. And N-Acetyl-Cysteine is also used a lot in hospitals. For example, for people that are having a liver intoxication, and let's say that they're dying, literally, the what hospitals do, and every single hospital in the world has this. They have a special N-Acetyl-Cysteine in drip. Okay, it's a drug they'll put on the person, and the body, since 70% of our glutathione levels is in the liver, the body will automatically make enough glutathione to detoxify. Okay, this particular N-Acetyl-Cysteine, since it's a drug, there's side effects to it, so the person can vomit and all these things. Now, as a supplement, Brittany, to your point, N-Acetyl-Cysteine supplement, what happens? What happens with N-Acetyl-Cysteine as a supplement is the same thing that happens with glutathione IV. The studies shows that it doesn't last in your body as long.
Mm.
So it'll probably last an hour or two in this case as a supplement, but it won't last the whole day. That's the only issue with N-Acetyl-Cysteine on supplements. Now, for example, comparing N-Acetyl-Cysteine with bonded cysteine, which is what I help, that does last the whole day because that's how we're supposed to consume cysteine, just like mother's milk. So that's why I always educate people on this topic because I think it's so important on how people consume and raise their levels of glutathione.
Yeah. I mean, that's so good to know because yeah, I mean, like you said, like NAC is just so popular. So it's interesting to kind of like understand what it actually does and how it breaks down in the body compared to Immunocal that you have.
Yep.
And of course, like, you guys have so many testimonials and also just like your mom's experience with it in itself and like how dramatic of a change it was. Like speaks to how successful the product is and how it actually works for people.
Yeah, yeah, and Brittany, I remember again going back to Dr. Gutman. Uh, he always says that whenever researching something, you have to research, research, research,
Mhm.
right? And the way you can see if something's good for you in general, not just my products, but in general, is to see if the medical community accepts it. So what
Mm.
happens with a lot of natural supplements, as you know, Brittany? A lot of natural supplements or diets in general or treatments, okay, are not backed up by the medical community. That creates skepticism because nobody is sure 100% if it works. You're following me?
Yeah.
So what's something that I always tell people is that hey, this product, Immunocal Platinum, for example, for my Canadian listeners, has a Health Canada number. And
Mm.
Health Canada is a lot tougher, for example, than the FDA here.
Right.
A lot tougher. So it's also in the CPS and the doctor's book in Canada. It's also in the PDR, the doctor's book here. So once you find something, hey, this is a glutathione precursor that's in the medical book, and and it has a Health Canada number. You know what? That's something that I can research too, and that's just something that I would encourage all listeners to do before
Mhm.
getting anything. Look, hey, does the medical community back it up? And if it doesn't, personally, I will be very careful with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a really high standard to set, and there's a lot of things that don't meet that. So that it's really good to be specific like that and critical like that of the things that you're putting in your body and all the different supplements. I mean, now like there's so many supplement brands. Like it's insane how saturated it is. Like
Yes.
I
Yeah.
it's so overwhelming. Even like just going to a health food store or a supplement store now is like you're just bombarded with all of these different things and like you're
Oh yeah.
confused on the choice that you're supposed to make, especially if you're not somebody who's educated in it and you're just like walking in for like B vitamins or something, right? You're kind of like, okay, what brand am I supposed to be taking? I have no idea. So I really respect that. And I think that's a great standard to set for yourself.
Yes, I agree. Every time I go to, for example, Whole Foods here in the U.S., right?
Mhm.
I'm not sure if you guys have Whole Foods in Canada, but
Yeah, we
uh,
do.
okay, cool. So like every time I go to Whole Foods and I see like all these supplements, like you said, it's super overwhelming. It's stressful.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
stressful. Like like I've just like if I ever go to buy supplements in Whole Foods, it's because I want like something super simple, or it's because I'm traveling and I forgot one of my products, so I have to get something similar. But
Mhm.
I think most people, if they're buying a supplement now, I think they will usually buy it online, although they'll buy it through someone because of the overwhelm. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So you've been building your business for a few years now,
Yep.
and I know you also talk a lot about entrepreneurship, which we briefly touched upon. Um, and you talk about important skills for acquiring personal wealth or even like generational wealth, which is something that I'm very interested in.
Yes.
So, what do you like when talent isn't enough? What do you what are these skills and what do you recommend to people?
You know, the other days I was thinking, I was like, what makes an entrepreneur?
It's a
And,
good
and, I,
question.
and I was thinking about what makes an entrepreneur, because there are people, Brittany, a lot more qualified than me, not doing the
Mm.
things that I'm doing. Okay. And there are people not as qualified as me doing a lot more things than what I'm doing. Okay.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true. And
Yeah.
so I'm thinking, I'm like, what makes an entrepreneur? Two words: growth and contribution.
Mm.
You have to have both to be a successful entrepreneur. Growth means two ways, right? Personal growth, business growth. We're always taught how to be goal oriented, which is super important. But it's better to be growth oriented, because when you're growth oriented, you always get to your goal and you enjoy the journey.
I like that.
You see, and I learned this. I didn't know this from the beginning, Brittany. Okay, I had to learn it by experience and by books. And John Maxwell, my favorite author, he taught me that. He said, focus on growth, not on goals. Because if you focus on growth, you will always get to your goal and you will enjoy it. And it makes sense, because there are a lot of people that focus on a goal, they get to the goal, but maybe even though they got to the goal, maybe they didn't get better. They just got there. And
Mm.
so that could not be so okay, because then it might prevent you from getting to important goals. But if you focus on growth, you will 100% get better and you will always get to the goal. And then if you focus on growth, you will never want to stop and you'll always be enjoying it. If you're just goal oriented, once you get to the goal, it's like, now what? And
Yeah.
and that could be super depressing. So first thing is growth, personal growth and business growth, obviously. Second is contribution. You have to find a business or product or service where your talents can be used at its max, where your heart is also okay part of it, and where you can help a lot of people. Okay, we all know of wealthy people that became wealthy by not helping people, and we also know of wealthy people that became wealthy because they helped a lot of people. You have to pick, which one do I want to be? Which person do I want to be? And in entrepreneurship, you have that opportunity. You have the opportunity to find something in which you're enjoying it, your talents can be used at its max, and you're also helping a lot of people. For example, the only way for me to create amazing revenue personally and in my company is for me to think bigger, okay? And it's also for me to help a lot more people. So if I help, let's say, 100,000 people with this product, I will obviously be in a better financial situation, no doubt. But the only way for me to be in a good financial situation is to help 100,000 people. You're following me? So
Mhm.
when this is the focus, it becomes just so much better.
Right.
It becomes so much better because it becomes a mission.
Yeah.
It becomes a mission, and then you're also growing. Now, one super important thing that I wish I would have ingrained in myself, Brittany, from day one
Mm.
was failing. I realized when I became an entrepreneur that I wasn't good in failing. I saw failure as my enemy. Okay, and when you see failure as your enemy, you think too small,
Mm.
and your brain is only valuable if you stretch it.
Right.
If you stretch your brain, like kind of like a rubber, right? A rubber is only valuable when you stretch it. Your brain's the same, and your brain can only, like you can only get smarter, and you can only get more skills if you put yourself in challenging situations where you will fail. That's the only way. So I had to learn, Brittany, and again, I probably learned this just a year or 2 years ago, honestly, how to see failure as my friend. Once I saw and I understood that failure was my friend, I was not scared to try. I was not scared to be flexible. I was not scared to do new things. And guess what, Brittany? My business started to grow exponentially because I wasn't scared. And then I now I see that every time I fail, even though failing is something that I would say no one likes, but if you see failing as a way that it's a step forward to your success, you will actually like to fail. You will see failure as your friend because you see, wait a second, success and failure, they're combined. You have to have both. Now we think, hey, let's just focus on success and not failure. And guess what? That's why most people fail because they only focus on success. If you focused on seeing success what it is and you focus on failure as your friend, which means you learn from every failure. If you have this mindset, I don't think anything will be impossible for you to do in business. So I learned this recently, and for anybody who wants to be an entrepreneur or is an entrepreneur and hasn't ingrained this, and I am sure 100% positive, you will succeed 100 times more.
I'd love to quickly interrupt this podcast to ask you, do you know your biological age? Do you know your current hormone, vitamin, and mineral levels? Honestly, it's hard to know what's going on internally without getting tested. And traditionally, you'd have to go through your doctor or your healthcare provider to order these tests, go into a lab, and it would be a whole ordeal. And it would, it would take a while as well. For me personally, this has always been a hurdle for understanding what is actually going on and how to optimize my biomarkers and even know my biological age in the first place. Thankfully, though, we can order a at-home test from Inside Tracker that lets us do this. It tests for your biological age, your hormone, mineral, and vitamin levels. This is a very, very comprehensive test that lets you get a ton of data from a single kit without having to go to a doctor or go to a lab or really leave your house. If you're looking for the ultimate blood test, try Inside Tracker, which includes testing 43 different biomarkers and the option to test your inner age and your DNA. You can use my discount code BiohackingBrittany for 25% off all of their products, and you can go through there through the link in my show notes or my website and get tested today. I love that. I love the idea of being growth oriented over goal oriented. There's something very interesting about that as an entrepreneur myself is like when I think through that and think about the practicality of that and like what that actually means on a day-to-day basis, it's almost like less stressful and
Yes.
like I can actually like breathe than being like, oh, these are my goals this month. Am I going to hit this revenue? Am I going to sell this? Whatever it is, right? But if you're like growth oriented, it's like, oh, okay, cool. I'm actually growing every day. Like I've actually grown since yesterday because now this has happened. And I learned, like, look at me compared to where I was last year at this time. And like, look how I can actually do all these new skills and I'm more proficient in, whatever it is. And that's so interesting. I need to like sit on that and think
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. Well, and that's why personal development is so important, Brittany,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
you can only learn these things through personal development.
Yeah.
And I, if I had never become an entrepreneur, I probably would have never learned this,
Mm,
or I probably would have learned it, but not as not as soon as I did. Um,
Yeah.
and that only happens with personal development. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, and even like that mindset, like I have talked about the growth mindset before, but being growth oriented, that can be applicable even if you're not an entrepreneur. Like you
Yes.
can take that into your corporate career. You can take that into your relationships and be like, look, like our relationship isn't perfect, but we're growing and we're learning. And
Yes.
it's accepting that. Um, and I think that's just such a beautiful way to think. And I don't know if a lot of people think like that. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if people are kind of either goal oriented or kind of just like this fixed mindset. I don't know. What do you
Yeah.
think?
I think a lot of people don't think like this, but it's not their fault. They're just not taught.
Mm,
They're just
yeah.
not taught. That's it. It's not. It's
Yeah.
not. For the ones that are listening, if you don't think this way, don't feel bad. They
Yeah.
just didn't teach you. That's
Yeah.
it. And that's why, again, that's why I'm such a big fan of podcasting. Okay,
Yeah.
because a lot of people, I actually think, okay, and this is something that I don't say out loud, but I'm going to say it right now.
Okay.
I feel that the next 10 years, 20 years, books won't be popular at all, and podcasting will be king.
Wow.
This is how I see podcasting. And why is this? Well, podcasting, first of all, has helped me tremendously. It's
Mm,
helped me in my personal growth and in my business growth. Second of all, I know so many people, for example, in my team. I'll be like, hey, here's a book. John Maxwell, read it. If I send a book on personal growth to 100 people in my team, Brittany, maybe one will read it. Why? Not why? Because they're not interested in growth? No. It's because there's so many things to do in life. And sometimes to just sit down and read a whole chapter is exhausting.
mhm.
Now, I think anybody and everybody should do it, but let's be honest, not everybody can. So I did a test and I said, hey, there's this podcast. They interview me on it. I talk about personal growth. Brittany, everybody listened to it.
Wow.
So I'm thinking, I said, wait a second, podcasting is a way to reach so many more people.
Yeah.
And people grow as much. I've seen that happen.
Yeah.
Sometimes, even though I read every single day, there are certain books that I can't read every single day, but I always focus on at least doing something with personal development.
Yeah.
And let's say it's a super busy day. I'm in the gym, and of course, I'm not going to read in the gym, but I can listen to a podcast with Brittany. I can
Mhm.
listen to a podcast with Dr. Hyman. I can listen to a podcast with Eric Worre, with John Salter, just some people that I'm talking about, and get personal growth and fire me up. So I think, again, for the people that don't have this growth oriented or failing forward mentality, it's okay. It's okay. It really is.
Mhm.
You just weren't taught on it.
Mhm.
Now is the time to teach yourself on it.
Yeah. You don't know what you don't know.
Correct.
Yeah, which is crazy. But yeah, like I have learned so much from podcasts. Like I listen to podcasts when I walk, when I work out, when I'm in the car, like
Same.
all of the time. And I've learned so much about health, entrepreneurship, running a business, relationships, everything. Like
Yes.
everything. And which is part of the reason why I started a podcast a couple years ago was because of this. And it's so interesting that you think that in 10 years podcasts are going to, kind of take over from where books are. I think books have a time and place. Like I like to read before I go to bed, but I easily consume more information through podcasts than books currently in my life. Easily.
Yeah, sure. And
Yeah.
I agree with you 100% because a lot of the ways that I think and act is because I found, like, okay, you talk a lot about in your podcast, right, about hacking, right? Biohacking, all these things.
Hmm.
And I think a hack that is so incredible, probably underrated, I would say, is repetition. So, especially with the internet, everybody is going to want to sell you a book. Uh, Everybody is going to want to promote their podcast, and that's fine. That's fine. Okay. That's honorable. Now, I learned this. Okay. I learned this, and I think it's one of the best, I would say, self taught hacks is to find a podcast or find a couple podcasts. This can also be books, okay? But talking about podcasts, find a couple podcasts that you absolutely love. You're obsessed with it, okay? And when I mean this, I mean podcasts that are beneficial for your thinking, for your mindset, for health, okay? But talking about mindset, and re-listen to that podcast as many times as you can your whole life.
Hmm.
There are certain podcasts, Brittany. that I've listened to probably more than 100 times.
Yeah.
And why is this so important? Well, because we only learn really through repetition.
Hmm.
And I've listened to certain podcasts so many times that I start to think like these people.
Oh man, yeah, yeah, I've done that.
And since I think about these people, I see myself more successful.
Yeah,
And it's fascinating, but that can only happen if you find a few and listen to it 500 times.
right.
So I am extremely obsessed with repetition because I know it's the only way to start thinking like
Hmm.
that successful person. Okay.
Hmm.
And, for the ones that are listening, if you think you're not learning as much or you're not as effective, my suggestion is be obsessed with repetition. Find a few podcasts. If you haven't found the podcast or the books that you love, keep looking for them. Once you find a couple of them, re-listen and reread it your whole life, literally, and your life will be changed.
Hmm. Hmm. I love that. Yeah, that's so important. Where do you like? You seem like you have so much energy as an entrepreneur. Um, and for me, my energy kind of goes up and down, and motivation goes up and down, and I think that's very normal for an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Um, where do you get your energy from?
Uh, I would say ADD. No.
Oh
well,
man.
well, one of the issue, one of the reasons why I was never so effective in school when younger
Hmm.
was because I had so much energy. I wanted to play sports. I wanted to do things that required energy. And so sitting down and studying things that didn't seem important to me was horrible
Right.
when I was younger. And of course, because of this, I wasn't as great at school as I should have been, honestly. Um, and my grades weren't bad. I graduated, I was an honor student, but I wasn't giving that even 20% of what I could have given because I probably do have ADD. I honestly have no idea, but I do have a lot of energy. I'm a naturally, right? Um, and yeah, I just think it's the fam, honestly. And you know, not only is it something genetic, I would say, because if you meet my family, everybody in my family does have a lot of energy. But when we go back, it's a lot with nutrition. It's a lot with nutrition. I mean, I have to take care of myself every single day to have this energy. One of the reasons why I like to take care of myself, Brittany,
Hmm.
is because a day that I feel that I'm not growing and contributing is a day of failure. So if I feel that I'm not feeling well because I made a bad decision to eat too many sweets, or I didn't sleep well because I slept late on purpose, um, so if I start to have bad habits in my life, especially health habits, and that of course will affect my energy to help people, oh, is that depressing? That is
Yeah.
so depressing for me. So I'm always constant again, and obviously I'm not perfect in this, and I'll never be perfect, in this, for now. Um, but I'm always trying to focus, hey, what can I do to maintain my energy so that I can always give my best in growing contribution? One reason why I'm so passionate about glutathione is because going back to glutathione once again, glutathione works a lot with your mitochondria. And as you know, Bernie, the mitochondria are the battery cells of the body. And these battery cells, they're machines. And so they're always burning because they're always getting energy. Now, like every machine, it has to cool down. So if it doesn't cool down, it can eventually explode, technically speaking, and then not give you as much energy as you should and actually give you chronic fatigue. For example, diseases like fibromyalgia, for example, they're considered to be mitochondrial dysfunction because the mitochondria are not working, the battery cells. So it turns out glutathione will cool down the mitochondria. It'll cool it down so that your body can keep giving you energy. That's why one of the first things people see when they get on the product and they start raising glutathione is incredible energy without the caffeine. So that's one of the things that obviously that I consume every single day to have energy. But again, it is something natural. I will say it is something genetic, but it is because I'm so focused on my habits because I always want to give the best to people. And if I feel at least one day I'm not giving the best to people, that's a very depressing day for me, and I'm always trying to avoid that.
I love that. It's all about helping other people
That's
and
it.
contribution to other people. Where can people find you? And if they want to try where can they go if they're interested?
Sure. So my personal website is This Is Janko. So this is, and then Janko, GIANCO.com. There's my story there. And then you can also email me, and in that website you can find my social media accounts. You can find my Instagram, which is also This Is Janko. But in the website, in the end, you see Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. You can send me an email for consultation. You can send me a direct message through social media so we can have a convo. You can get the product, for the ones that are watching, you can get the product directly to my company website, okay, which is Immunotech. So IMMUNOCEC.com/ This Is Janko. There you can see all the products, Immunocal, and all that. Now, I always tell people, I would prefer for us to have a conversation if possible, because there I can see what you need best, what works for you, what doesn't work for you. I personally prefer that than just people just randomly go to a website and buying things that they might not even need. You're following me?
Yeah.
So, but now again, for people that just want to have a conversation with me, yeah, just go to my website, go to my Instagram, follow me, and I would love to have a conversation with you.
I love that. I will definitely add that to the show notes and the blog posts, and so people can connect with you very easily. And yeah, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day to come on and talk with us. Like, this was awesome, and I really learned a lot.
Hey, well, Brittany, it's my pleasure, and hopefully, this podcast will reach a lot of people so that you and me can help a lot of people.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. As always, feel free to screenshot this episode and tag me if you'd like me to respond. I really hope you enjoyed it and learned something new. If you have a question about your health, my DMs are always open and I'm currently taking new clients. Thanks, and see you next time.